Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to our Friday live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by my esteemed colleague and good friend, Jeff Howe. I'm done calling him the newest member of the On Texas Football family. It's been too long now, and so you guys, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you guys joining us, no matter where you're joining us from. Throw out your questions, comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. You guys know how the Friday show works. Usually we just take questions and answer questions. Got a couple of topics that we'll bring up, but the show belongs to you. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. And usually, what's up, CB? Usually our Friday shows are a little bit shorter. So if you got a question, please throw it out there quickly, and we'll try to address it as quick as we can. Big story today, or at least the big news today, Jeff, for Longhorn fans, is that there is another announcement today, and Longhorn fans are hoping to get some good news. Samari Matthews, the corner out of North Carolina. I've watched film on him. He's a damn good one. What are your thoughts about where this recruitment is leaning one way or the other?
I'll just say this. In the name of good luck, North Carolina's out of the mix. It's the Texas-South Carolina battle. But number one, I haven't done laundry since I got back from Vegas, so all my Longhorn shirts are in need of wash. So I'll put on some Carolina blue for the state of North Carolina for Samari Matthews to maybe bring some good luck to Texas because the Longhorns need it. That's my main segue of saying, Rod, I'm feeling good about where Texas is with Smoke Matthews right now. This is one that he visited in the spring, and I remember just his vibe coming off of his visit, when we got a chance to talk to him. Just really loved Texas, and there was quite a few guys that did, and I know some of those recruitments haven't gone Texas' way, but this one, it seemed like South Carolina surged right around the time of the official visit, but the buzz for about the last week to 10 days has been all about Texas, and going into the decision today, it's been on Texas. So you're looking at a Rod. If they can close on Smoke Matthews, you got a really good corner class with Smoke Matthews and Hayward Howard Jr., one from North Carolina, one from Louisiana. I also like it too because now it frees you up to – you don't have to pigeonhole Jermaine Bishop into playing defense, so you can kind of use him wherever you want. Maybe he sticks at corner. Maybe he's a nickel safety. Maybe you put him on the offensive side of the ball, not getting Jalen Lott. I think now maybe Sark is more open to that. So, look, wherever Jermaine Bishop plays, I think he's going to be a hell of a player for Texas. But I think Smoke Matthews gives you a little more margin for error, Rod, if you want to use Jermaine Bishop on offense.
That's a good point. I hadn't heard anybody bring that up. Man, does that young man, Jermaine Bishop, does he have a preference? Has he stated publicly?
So he took photos when he did his photo shoot during his official visit. He was wearing the number 7 and did it with the Thorpe Award. So I think the plan is maybe to be playing defense. And Rod, if Coach Akina has a premium athlete like that, he's not going to let him go without a fight over to the other side of the ball. So I think the plan, as of right now, still to start him on defense. But when we watched a lot of Jermaine Bishop Jr. and when you watch the ball in his hands, man, I want some of that electricity on the field on the 40 with the chance to take one to the house.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw the film and said the same thing. I said, and trust me, I'm all about having great DBs out there, as many as we can stockpile for DBU, but that young man's got some special ball awareness and some special skills when he's got the ball in his hands too. I mean, he's got some special kind of twitch. So I'm with you on that. I mean, you can see him playing on either side. That's an interesting point you bring up about Samari Matthews. I do like his game, though. I've told you, I think he's a very natural defensive back. If you look at his movement, not a lot of wasted movement. I love that. Like you see young DBs, you got to train a lot of the false steps out of their game and, wasted movement out of their game to make them really efficient. He does that naturally. Now, maybe he's been working at it a long time. I don't really know his background that much, but I love his footwork. Really, really disciplined eyes too. Got good eyes in zone coverage. Texas plays a lot of pattern matches we talk about. So your eyes is a big part of kind of your overall football IQ and trying to diagnose plays and route concepts. Thank you, Matthew. He does a great job with his eye discipline in terms of going from your 3-step read to the quarterback. Maybe for you, it's going to number 2 or going to number 1, back to number 2. You got a progression. You can tell the young man does that really well, and it allows him to be a help defender at times. And that's how Texas DBs were really great at that last season, being able to help each other out in some of those pattern match situations. And I love that he's patient. I mean, you can see it right here. He's patient at the line of scrimmage, and he's patient when he's playing off coverage too. Keeps him close to those underneath routes and allows him to kind of body up the wide receiver on some of those deeper routes. And he's great at the point, at the catch point. Really good at breaking things up the catch point. I think that's because he's got some really good ball skills. I got to go watch more film, like an actual game, to talk about ball skills, because he doesn't get a lot of action. He's that respected at his level of play, but I think he's a really good technician. And for three technicians, got to be fundamentally sound, like I said, really efficient in their movement, in their really in their fluidity of movement. His hips are great too. Got really good hips. Like I said, that's really not a box he doesn't check if you're looking for the raw materials of a really good high level DB.
Yeah, I think Hayward Howard Jr. is, if you're looking at this potentially being the Texas corner tandem in this class. And again, we'll say Jermaine Bishop Jr. is the wild card, but like Hayward Howard Jr. to me is kind of more of an athlete, still trying to kind of figure out how to really technically play. There's some polish there. From a technician standpoint, Smoke Matthews will be ready to go day one, depending on how he understands the scheme. But technically, there's a lot he understands about playing corner. One thing I like about corners, Rod, and again, I yield the floor to you when we're talking about DB evals. One thing I like about corners, especially guys that are technicians like Smoke Matthews, if they have that duck in water thing about them, I really like that. Like where the head is never really moving, which tells you probably his eyes are usually in the right place.
Yep.
But the hips and the feet and the body it's got the twitch and it's going where it needs to, but the head is staying still. It looks like he's calm. He's got everything under control. I love that about young corners. That tells me he's got the right mentality, right kind of mindset to play corner.
It's strange you bring that up, because here are my Samari Matthews notes. I took my notes when I watched the young man. And one of the things I have in the notes is here down to bottom, reads body language really well. I once heard, I believe it was Sauce Garden who said it, said that, body language doesn't whisper, it screams. And as a corner, it really did. That to me was a very kind of profound statement, because he's right. There's some corners that are really good at just reading body language, reading the right things, looking at the right things. We talk about the eye discipline. And if you're looking at the right things, then you'll notice that the head, all right, all those things are tied together. The eyes are tied to the feet, the hands. And here's another great quote about DBs. They always say that eyes bring the hands bring the feet. And they all should be tied together if you don't have a lot of wasted movement and you're very efficient in terms of your fundamentals and your technique. And he is. And Coach Akini used to always say, your feet go where your eyes go. Feet go where your eyes go. But it's the same, you're basically saying the same thing. All right, you're saying that, hey man, you're everything's tied to your eyes, your hands, your hips, and your feet. It's all tied together. If one thing goes awry, it could throw the whole system off, out of whack. And for Samari Matthews, all those things are aligned, and they are aligned really, really well. And that's what makes him look so smooth, and it makes him look so efficient and proficient in his technique. So I actually wrote that down. The same thing you're talking about the eyes. And from the little research that I could do on him, just his personality, and I'm sure Jerry and CJ and some of those guys who probably get behind the scenes and have seen him up close and personal, they probably know better than me. DB it's more than a skill set; it's a personality type.
Yes,
it is. It is definitely a personality type, and from what I hear, he's got that personality type. Going back to your point about Jermaine Bishop, he might have this personality type. It's like, no, I'm a DB. Now, wideouts are also a very flamboyant personality type too. The divas of the wide receiver world, but DB is just another animal altogether. I, being one myself, know this, and I look for that personality type. I remember when I saw Cade Phillips at that camp, and he was skipping line and basically punking people, trying to get extra reps, and I was like, yeah. DB's a personality type, and he's got it. You're a DB, my son. You're a DB. Yeah. And I feel like some of the things I've heard about Samari Matthews, I feel the same way about him.
Yeah. Quandre was one of those guys. No surprise. Quandre was one of those guys that Quandre could have gotten in the NFL as an offensive player. He's just that talented. But if you've been around Quandre Diggs for more than, I don't know, 5 to 7 seconds, he's got the DB personality trait. What you're talking about, Rod, really takes me back to kind of the late 2000s Texas secondaries, which some really good NFL players in those secondaries. But when you're talking about the eye discipline that Smoke Matthews has, just how smooth he looks, that's the difference between. And I'll exclude Aaron Williams because Aaron Williams was just one of those kind of physical freak type guys.
Yeah.
To me, but what you're talking about is the difference between like Curtis Brown and how smooth and fluid Curtis Brown looked, and like he was always, it seemed to be in the right place, and Shockey Brown, a guy that had all the physical tools, was super talented, but I know frustrated you, Rod, because his eyes were just always in the wrong place, which meant his feet were in the wrong place, which meant he was vulnerable. And Shockey's a hell of a player. They ended up being part of a Super Bowl championship team in the NFL, but it's just that's what frustrated you. But Shockey Brown had nothing to do with his talent. It's just, man, if his eyes and feet, if it ever all ran together smoothly, there's no telling how good he could have been.
That's a great example again, Jeff. That the Shockey Brown thing. I mean, talk about physical gifts. All right, dude was just. I mean, he was long, rangy. What was Shockey Brown like?
6 foot, 200. Yeah,
he was basically what Texas recruiting now in corner.
Yeah.
All these guys he recruited out, the Cade Phillips, the Samari Matthews, them dudes. That's essentially what Shockey Brown was. And man, they could never the eyes. He never had the eye discipline. But hell, he still got drafted into the NFL because he's just a physical freak. He had the raw materials of a DB, an NFL DB. It's when he got to college. But it was all about could he put it all together. I don't know if he ever did. I don't know if he really did. But that's how high his ceiling was though as a player.
The two guys that I always thought of Texas defensive backs, like, man, they were just missing that last piece to just tie it all together. It was Shockey Brown and Mykel Thompson. Like, physically, everything you could possibly want in a modern day defensive back, they had. I mean, they had length, they had size, they could jam you, they could play over the top, they had some ball skills. It's just it never all quite clicked.
Yep. No, that's it. I agree with you. CB says, I remember Rod used to call Chris Boyd Shockey Boyd early in his career. His eyes were so bad early in his career. They were very undisciplined in either in man coverage or in zone. You got to have disciplined eyes in both of them. But you got to just know what you're supposed to look at and what your keys are. And some guys, man, Janae Barron, I got to tell you, Janae's eyes were amazing. Like it was, and then it all came together for Janae. It was all tied together. At that last year we won the Thorpe, I mean, he had the best eye discipline probably of any DB I've seen at Texas since. Oh man, we got to go way back until honestly probably like the heyday. Maybe like I'm trying to think of a corner who had it because safeties. And I'm talking about that corners who had that kind of eye discipline today. And that may have been one of his X-Man abilities that set him apart.
Yeah,
I can't think of a corner that had better eyes than Janae.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, because I love when it's just you and me, right? It just our shows devolve into just DBU shows, which I'm fine with. It's great. I love it. But, like, I think you almost had to group your DBU guys in, especially like starting with Coach Akina's first year. You almost have to group them in like different places. Like you've got your guys. You know, your Ahmad Brooks, your Blake Gideons, your guys like that are more just cerebral type guys that it was mind over everything else. You got your freaks, you know, your Nathan Vashers, your Aaron Williams, Quentin Jammer, guys like that. I'd put you right in the group with Jade, guys that put it together. It was just eyes, everything. It was so technical, but it didn't look like. You know, it didn't look clunky. Like when I watched you play, everybody watched Jade play, Curtis Brown's another one. It didn't look clunky. Like you always just seemed to be, didn't like physically overwhelm you, just always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. Timing was everything. And, you know, the ability to be kind of what you dubbed a football investigator and to be up on it mentally, and then the eyes and feet, everything ties together. It gets you, you know, you're able to, those types of guys reach their ceiling in college.
Yeah. I remember Jade saying, and thank you, by the way, for putting me in the category with you. I appreciate that. But he's in the same conversation with an all-time great like that. I appreciate it. But Jade often, and we'll get obviously to another subject here and answer some of your questions. But I heard of him in an interview with Brett Coleman, I believe. Does a really good job, kind of a football theorist on YouTube and social media. You should check him out. He does good work. But he was interviewing Jade, and he was talking about the eyes. He's like, man, really good in your progressions, and you don't have lazy eyes. You're not indisciplined eyes. Like, you always seem to know exactly what you're keying in on, and it takes you to the football a lot of times. And he actually credited boxing. He said that he would boxed early on in his youth, and he said boxing, a lot of it is training your peripheral vision, and it trained him to expand his vision instead of being like this all the time, right? I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the quarterback, all right, 3-step, and I go from 3-step to 2-step here, and I always got this very narrow vision. He says now I'm looking at it in a much wider lens, if you will, because I'm using my peripheral. So, and then he got into why he shuffles out instead of backpedaling, so he can keep the vision open. So you backpedal, you have to have your shoulders square a lot of the times, and it narrows your vision. But if you shuffle, your hips are open, and then you can triangulate. I can see QB, number one receiver, then a slot receiver, and I can use my peripheral vision to help me almost get a jump and cheat on my keys, instead of having to directly turn my head or something, go look at the number one receiver, go back to number two. He's just like, no, I'm just looking at it in my peripheral, all as one big picture, and diagnosing it that way. Just it's fascinating, but it just shows you like everybody's got their own little tricks they've learned how to play the position, and a lot of his is the vision that he has.
It's one of those things, like you saying that about Jade. It's kind of like we talk about Casey Hampton's stance. Like, you can't replicate it. It's just how he saw the game at the point of attack. Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about with Jade, the first time I really ever heard that, or I guess studied it, I remember going back to taking a Texas route, Earl Thomas and a Legion of Boom. I remember watching Richard Sherman stand with his back to the sideline, and he would shuffle. I'm like, I've never seen a DB do that. Like, why does it? But it's the same deal. Like, it's all about expanding your vision and understanding what you're looking at. So I'm like, hey man, if you can, not everybody can get away with doing that, but if that helps you kind of unlock your X-Men ability on the field, then go ahead and do it. I'll say this too. We're going back to Jermaine Bishop Jr. real quick, because Tennessee Longhorn said, LOL, Jeff, be for real. We have no wide receiver awards for him to hold. Not in the same vein as Eric Berry having a Thorpe Award on his mantle that belongs to Earl Thomas, but the Golden Tate Jordan Shipley Biletnikoff Award discussion from that year.
That was travesty.
Yes. Yeah. Because Golden Tate's numbers were good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But Jordan Shipley was the best, most important, most productive fill in the blank wide receiver in the country in 2009. So, and you know what? I mean, if we're being honest, he didn't have the numbers, I don't think. Plus, I think that was a Larry Fitzgerald year where he might have won it. But 2002, Roy Williams, because Roy was healthy and Sims was on. I don't know that I've ever seen a Texas wide receiver have a more just physically dominant man among boys seasons than Roy Williams in 2002. So to me, and we've seen some good ones, man. Like X had one a couple years ago. Devin Duvernay had one in 2019. But I think you got to look at Matthew Golden's body of work last year. But if you're asking me, hey, what's the two best wide receiver seasons you've ever seen at Texas? To me, it's 2009 Jordan Shipley and it's 2002 Roy Williams. Because, and the most amazing part about Roy's junior year is, I guess, the discipline or whatever to not turn pro after that Cotton Bowl. Because he slapped a really good NFL corner, Corey Webster, all over the field like he stole something. He'd have been a top 5 pick if he'd have come out that year.
That's a good point. I remember that. That game was epic too. That LSU team won the national title the next year.
They did. And Marcus Spears, that was a Brady James. It was a really freaking talented LSU team coached by Nick Saban. And they looked like they didn't even belong on the field.
Yeah. With that put it on him. Now, that's a good point. I think he would have went just as high, if high, not higher. I'm with you. I don't know how much he increased his draft stock from that junior year, that senior year.
I just remember when he did get drafted the following year, which you have a funny story about that with Steve Mariucci stopping you in the hallway. And you can take the credit or blame for the Lions drafting a wide receiver the second year in a row. But I remember when Roy got drafted, Michael Irvin was doing the coverage for ESPN and was like, you know how Michael Irvin can get amped up and animated. He's like chastising Roy for not going pro the year before. Like, I can't believe he didn't come out. I'm like, That was the first time I think I'd ever heard, like, man, somebody actually went back to school for their senior year, was still a first-round pick, and is basically getting called an idiot on national television.
Hey, I'll say this: Roy loved football. Like Roy didn't go out a lot. Like Roy wouldn't want to go out. Like he didn't like drinking and hanging out and all that stuff. No, Roy wanted to play ball. That's it. Like his idea of a good time was sit in and play Madden and draw up football plays. I'm serious. He didn't really start going out a little bit until he got to the league, really. So that was Roy. I mean, I'm not saying he never went out and had a good time, but for the most part, Roy was all like football. That was his good time. That was his social scene. And so I'm with you. I think that's why he came back. He really did just enjoy football. Like and some people say, well, why not go to the NFL? NFL's a different monster than college. I think he actually enjoyed playing college ball, living with his teammates, hanging out with his teammates, practicing, and I enjoyed that lifestyle. I think now NIL would have been different. It'd have been great. He got paid for it, but I think he actually enjoyed the college lifestyle.
Yeah,
he wanted to be a college football player. Like he liked it.
It's funny too, because I guess I'm just the one of the old heads in the market now, but you're good. People are going to look at the Texas record books, and you're going to see Devin Duvernay and Colin Johnson and Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell's 1 year, and you'll see some great receivers. You'll see Roy kind of in the top 5, kind of hanging around and be like, man, how good was this Roy Williams? And it's up to, I guess, me at this point to remind people that either weren't alive or don't remember, like, no, you need to go back and watch. I can give you 4 or 5 Roy Williams games where if you go back and watch the tape, you've never seen anything like it. And Texas had a few guys over the years, Rod, and I look on this roster where I look at the guys like Justice Terry and Lance Jackson. I'm like, it's been a while. I haven't seen that body type here in a while. It's been a while since I've seen someone that looked like that. Bijan was one of those guys. Roy Williams was one of those guys, and I looked at him the first time. I was like, man, I don't remember Texas having receivers that look like this guy.
No, he was different. I think he made me an all conference player because I got to go against him every day.
Yeah,
he's a first round receiver every day in practice, pretty much.
Yeah,
and you cannot put a value on that. You can't put a value on it. And especially he was a freak too. He wasn't just like NFL receiver in terms of route running and his ability, but in terms of his athleticism overall. I mean, go look at his track times and track numbers. I mean, you can go watch him hoop in the gym. I mean, this dude could put on a dunk contest with the best of them.
I think Roy's best. I think it's an unofficial and wind aided, but I think there's a, like a sub 10.4 in there for him somewhere. 25-foot long jumper. Like,
and what? How big was it? 6'3", something like that.
6'3", about 200, 210. Like, everybody was trying to, when he blew up, everybody was like, okay, can we find the next Randy Moss? It's like, you're not going to find Randy Moss. I can tell you that right now. But you look at Roy Williams, I'm like, you know what? You look at it. He doesn't live in the same house as Randy Moss, but he might live around the block.
Yeah. No, because and everybody was trying to get that guy. Remember the Detroit Lions fell into that trap because they literally kept drafting wide receivers, big wide receivers, trying to find that next physical freak. They found him later on in Calvin Johnson, so give him credit. But as an organization, they kept trying to find that guy. And I remember when Mooch asked me, because we had a bunch of Longhorns that were already on the roster, hey, what about this Roy Williams kid? And I was like, well, if you're going to draft Charles Rogers, I think they drafted Charles Rogers top 5. Yeah, he was got the real. I was like, then I said, Roy's a no-brainer because I was like, I've seen both. Roy's better than Charles Rogers. Sorry. And I know Charles Rogers was great, but Roy's a better player, period. Better football player. And I think that proves to be true. Now, I probably messed Roy's career up by I shouldn't have advocated to have the Detroit Lions drafted, but probably should just let him get drafted by whoever he wanted to get drafted by and had no influence on it at all. But I wasn't the only guy. Remember Big Sean Rogers was there on that team. Big CC Red was on that team already. So they had a little affinity for Longhorns at the time.
There, and I real quick, and we'll move on from Roy Williams, even though I can tell Roy Williams stories all day, but you could tell the story, right? I think it was maybe a mini camp or something, one of Roy's first practices. He runs like a square in on Dre Bly and makes like a backhanded one-handed catch. The lines are like, all right, we didn't screw this up.
Yeah, it was like one of the first like teams that we ran, and he was out there going up against the starters, and he made a one-handed catch, but not just one. Usually when they do it with a basket catch, catch it like that. No, he caught it like this, so, like, out in front like this, and then didn't even tuck it for a while and just kept running and then everybody was like, what? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Yeah, that dude was, he was a freak. He really was.
Hey, they finally got it right. Like, got it right. With all due respect to Roy, they finally got it right when they took Megatron, though.
Yeah, I'm saying they got it right with Calvin Johnson. They was chasing it forever. They finally got it with Calvin Johnson.
Time is a charm, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Detroit credit. They had a lot of success, but they've had like some of the most exciting players in the history of the league, like Barry Sanders and Megatron, like literally things we'll never see again. Never see again. You never see.
They got you paid, Rod. Matt Millen got you paid for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Matt. Don't be hating on Matt Millen in front of me or Mooch or any of the coaches that I played with who probably weren't that successful. They family in my household. But
speaking of the Texas DB talk, the Lions, I think it was the Joey Harrington draft. The Lions almost took Quentin Jammer. Could have taken Quentin Jammer. Drafted Joey Harrington. They drafted Quandre Diggs. They got Quandre into the league.
That's true. It's a good point. Yeah.
And didn't pay him and traded him, and he became an all-pro with the Seahawks. But hey, they at least got Quandre in the door.
I do believe Matt Patricia may have been the first one though to move Quandre.
Yes.
Right to safety, and which ultimately even Quandre still I don't think likes safety. He prefers to play nickel, I believe, because he wants to be in the mix. He's basically an adrenaline junkie, and he hates safety because it's too boring for him. But I think he made his most plays at safety in the league.
Yeah,
that's where he, I think, had his most achievements and accolades is at safety. He's a great because his football IQ is so high. He's such a great football investigator. Kind of going back to the eyes and all that stuff we were talking about earlier. All right, full circle. Apologize. Let's get to a sponsor and then we'll get to your questions. See, that's why Jeff and I don't need to be on shows together.
Yeah,
Bobby needs to break that up. That's his fault. All right, let's thank our friends over at Von Lane before we move on to other things and some of your questions. If you have to get in between the major Texas cities, you got to get to Houston, you got to get to Dallas, you got to get to Fort Worth, San Antonio, you got to get to Austin. Folks, it's a bit of a toss-up, right? Do you deal with the airport chaos, the airport stress, and hope your flight isn't delayed, or do you decide to take that drive yourself and brace yourself for hours behind the wheel and lost productivity and road rage and traffic? Well, there's a third option, folks, and it's better in each and every way. Our friends over at Von Lane. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into a plush leather seat, a hot towel, pillow, and blanket are at arm's reach. Your attendant offers complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you'd like. And if you need to relax, you can simply lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there is high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. So while you're unplugging or powering through, the Von Lane team will be monitoring traffic in real time, using smarter routes and efficient detours to keep your trip smooth and on schedule. And now is the perfect time for you to plan your fall travel. Booking is open through September. So whether you're headed to a college football game, like a lot of you will be, or a weekend getaway or a business trip that needs to be done right, Von Lane makes the journey part of the reward. Von Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and in the Southeast, Atlanta, Nashville, and Memphis. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. Use the code OTF25. You'll save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane Elevated Regional Bus Transportation. Thank you very much to our friends at Von Lane for sponsoring our Friday live stream. I actually have taken the Von Lane several times myself to Houston and to Dallas, and I'm a big fan of it, and you will be too. All right, Super Chats. Got a couple of these, and thank you guys for your patience. We appreciate that. Slick Rick. Thank you for the super chat. Slick Rick says that Mad Dog episode on 3rd and Long was amazing. Thank you for the kind words, Slick Rick. He said, Rod, can you share your favorite story or Mad Dog and the impact he has had in your life? Oh, that's good. I can talk about Dog forever. The thing I remember about Mad Dog was mental toughness. Like he's simply trying to weed out the mentally weak. And if you are mentally weak, he is trying to transform your football character into having mental toughness. And so that's one of the things that I remember, when I first met Mad Dog, and Mad Dog always had the aura with him, the piece and chain and everything. But Mad Dog also has one of the biggest hearts. Like Mad Dog is Mad Dog's one of the first guys that wants to talk to you about your family and what's happening with you personally. And football is like one of the last things Mad Dog will discuss with you. Actually, he talks a lot of personal stuff when you talk about Mad Dog, and I think that 3rd Longhorn episode was an example of it. But what I remember most about Mad Dog is honestly the losses. And we didn't lose a lot at Texas, but after the losses, we would have the crawl before you walk. And I remember like we basically they would suspend all the film watching and all that. We wouldn't even go back and really watch the films of the losses. Like we would just start out on that Sunday outside on the field together. And you knew that's when you knew it was like it's gonna be trouble. And crawl before you walk, basically you bear crawl. All right, you bear crawl and and every 10 yards you have to do, I believe it's 10 up downs. And you either saying "I love Texas" or you're repeating that the pride and winning tradition of the Texas Longhorns will not be entrusted to the weak nor the timid. And then you get back in bear crawl. And you do that really until they say stop. Now, I don't know. I think, like I said, I don't know how long we would go, but I would say we easily, there'd be some times we'd be doing that for more than 30, 40 minutes. And you get to the point where you can't even feel, like this is all numb.
Yeah.
And guys would be collapsing and falling down. They'd just be pulling them over to the side. Keep it going. And that was the punishment for losing. Bad dog said there had to be a cost to it. Got to be a cost to losing. You can't just lose and there be no cost to it. You got to have something to have a fear. So that's what I remember about Bad Dog. The feeling in my stomach when we lose, and I was like, oh man, we got to crawl. We got to crawl before we walk. It's gonna be brutal out there. And yeah, I mean that. I'm sure there was some violations where you ain't supposed to, but Bad Dog didn't give a damn about that. It was all about now we played weak out there. We showed weakness, and we got to weed that out. I think he did a good job of it. By the time that VY team came along in 2005, they had completely weeded out every bit of weakness on that roster. There was really not a weak point, or maybe third string quarterback, so I don't know. But there was not, everybody on that roster was ready for war.
Yeah.
And I remember we had it probably 70, 75, 80%. We won 11 games. We was close. But by the time those young bucks came around who saw us and then they learned that's all they knew, he had done a great job of weeding out that like any weakness on the roster mentally or physically. And I'll give Dog a lot of credit for it because strength and conditioning coach, nobody spends more time with the guys. And we had the conditioning test. We had the 1,000-pound. We run a 1,000-yard shuttle and we do it with weight vests on.
Oh my God, that just
They would time it. You got to do it in a certain time, or they're gonna make you come back and do it later on. That was part of the fitness test. Oh man, yeah. Dog was like I said, Dog. I ain't gonna lie. Dog made me like I used to. I don't know. It's something about pain. You know what I mean? Like you have to be conditioned to be comfortable with it, to understand that it's part of the process. And I think that's what Dog made me understand, like the pain that comes with it. It's pain. All right. It's just, it's so you either going to suffer pain either way, the pain of disappointment or the pain of discipline. Which kind of pain do you want? Because pain is inevitable.
Yeah.
And it really did. Like now I can accept pain in a lot of different situations now. I think it actually upped my pain tolerance. I think now I have a higher pain tolerance because of Mad Dog.
You hear stuff like that throughout, doesn't matter if you're, a high school athlete, college athlete, pro athlete, you hear stuff like that. And it's like, oh, it builds character. And then you realize later in life, like, you know what, it actually really did. Really did make you a better person.
It did.
The Mad Dog thing though, what you're talking about, Rod, that is why above all else, Sark's got to do what he can to protect the culture. Cause it's about building. Then it was about building the culture. And then, like you said, by the time it got to that Vince Young team in 2005, it was about defending the culture. And I think that's kind of where Sark is now, but it's a really, really tough process. It's actually easier to do it now because of the portal, but it's a tough process to weed out entitlement, weed out complacency.
Oh yeah.
And took you a little longer back then to do it, like I said, than now, but that's what it was all about. You were in on the early days of that when you used the phrase, and I love it. There were some guys that just went to play at Texas. They weren't there to play for Texas.
Yep. Oh yeah, he weeded out those dudes. But think about also, and this is one thing I neglected to bring up, the reputation of Texas at the time played a big role in that. Remember, the reputation was Texas was soft.
Yep.
Looked like Tarzan, play like Jane. No, that's literally what they used to say about Texas.
Yep.
And our inability to beat Bob Stoops early on, even when we were good. And we were winning 11 games and we couldn't beat Oklahoma. It's like, you know why you can't beat Oklahoma? Y'all just soft. Not too soft, man. Oklahoma's hardcore. Can't beat them. And that's why it was big in 05 to have the team have the attitude they had and to have the reputation that they had.
Yeah.
That not only were they skilled and obviously had elite athletes and yes, had all the resources that Texas has. But you don't want to get in a back alley fight with this crew. You don't, no, you ain't gonna hold down. This is not only are they the most skilled and the best football team, but they're the toughest too. They're the toughest. And that was different. You know what I mean? That Texas what I always call Texas OU, the State Fair street fight. It's a street fight.
Yes.
The team that is go out there to win, go out there with the right mindset to win a fight. That's who's gonna win that game. Because it's a fight. It ain't a game. It's a fight. Now everybody on that field is gonna be in their own individual little fighting battle, but it is a fight for 60 minutes.
Yep.
And that's why I think Texas, that team embodied Texas fight. Texas will open a can of whip on you quick. And we didn't have that for a while. And this team has some of that. Sark's team now is starting to get some of that. Like, no. They're not only the most skilled and the best team, but they're also they got to be the toughest. That's why the O-line is big, right?
Mm-hmm.
When has Texas been struggling? Some short yardage, goal line situations on offense, running power situations. Those are bully ball situations. That's you imposing your will, moving another human being against their will. Like I think that's one of the next steps for maybe the last step actually for the offense. I remember Casey started telling me they used to tell teams what they were running. They're like, man, we're going through that gap right there. And they'd run through that gap and it didn't matter. The guy shifted over there, it didn't matter. They were so dominant that it did not matter. Now they can't do that against USC. But against everybody else, they could impose their will. And I don't know if we ever got to that point. We were close. They got there. That's what this team is trying to get to. And Georgia is that for them. And Georgia's a fight. Playing Georgia, it really is. That's one of them type of games. You got to go on the road and do that.
Because that's Kirby Smart's he's from the kind of the Will Muschamp branch of the Nick Saban tree, kind of the tough, crazy, I'm going to have those kind of guys you want in a bar fight with you. Mm-hmm. That's kind of branch Kirby Smart's from. And, with Will Muschamp on that staff, man, you know what you're getting into when you play that team. You better be ready to show up and bloody somebody's nose. Otherwise, you won't get your nose bloodied.
That's exactly right. Yep. All right. Thank you, Slickman, for the question. How about this one from Jay Lee? Says, Rod, were there any guys you played that you thought were really good but never could get on the field and you didn't know why? Yeah, we had a couple of guys that probably should have played more. We probably should have been rotating guys more. We didn't rotate as much back when I played. Like I never rotated. I never rotated out. Now I probably would have had a temper tantrum or something if they would try to rotate me because I'm like, no, I'm playing. But they didn't like. Now they're like, we're playing a lot of guys. We're gonna play a lot of guys. Like, we didn't rotate as many guys. Now we weren't playing. We were in the infancy of the air raid, right? I mean, Bob Stoops brought Mike Leach in with him in 99 when he came in. And that's what changed everything. And I came in 99. So now you have to, because teams are playing more plays, spread tempo offenses. It's just, that'd be ignorant. You'd be stupid, malpractice not to play more guys to get fresh bodies out there. So, the guys behind me, I'll say one guy, Marcus Wilkins. I'll say it. Marcus Wilkins. I don't know. Yeah, Marcus Wilkins, right?
Played in the NFL and never started a game at Texas.
That's crazy. Right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. Marcus Wilkins. Boom. I mean, that was now we had good linebackers though. So I'm not trying to say that he should have been playing over those guys. I'm kind of what I'm saying probably should have been a rotation. If you can make it in, how long did Marcus Wilkins play in the league? Like 7-8 years? A lot longer than a guy who never started a game at Texas should have played in the league. Listen, because we had Tyrone Jones, Eric Rawls, of course, Derrick Johnson around that time too. Damn good linebackers. D.D. Lewis was here when I first got here, and D.D. Lewis was a hell of a linebacker. He played in the league for he might have damn near got 10 years in the league. D.D. played a while.
Marcus Marcus Wilkins-Rod played 6 years in the NFL, 74 games.
Damn. So he played double the average NFL career. And never started at Texas. I don't even think he was even like an impact player really on defense for that. Special teams he was. I remember that. Played lots of it. But I don't even know on defense if he was like an impact player that even got in the rotation a lot and ended up playing in the league for the Packers mostly, right?
Bengals also. And I think finished up with the Falcons. Yeah, finished up with Atlanta.
Yeah.
The two guys that I was thinking about, though, Marcus Wilkins was the first guy that came to mind because, again, how can you forget a guy that, again, played in the league for 6 years and never started a game at Texas? Another strange, and I think Marcus Wilkins has a distinction. I think he was the first prospect to commit to Mac Brown. Like when I think
you're right about that. I want to say Marcus has told me this before. I think you're right about that.
I think he's the first prospect to commit to Matt. But the other one is another, strangely enough, another guy from Westwood High, Round Rock ISD in Austin. How OJ McClintock never got on the field, I don't know, because he was talented enough to be a difference maker. And we've talked about this. I'd love to get OJ on the channel at some point. Like every position move he made, his body just transformed to whatever position that was. Like whether he's a linebacker or a defensive end, he's a tight end at one point. I think he may have even been a defensive tackle at one point. Like it's like, wow, OJ's 280 pounds all of a sudden. Okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. But yeah, it was weird.
That is good. I forgot, man. You're right. He still has one of the greatest high school highlights I've ever seen. And CB probably remembers this. He's basically breaking away on a run, and they start tearing away his jock strap. And his jock strap comes, I believe it comes up like it comes apart, but like one thread, like this one thread, and it comes completely apart with the one thread, but it's over like 30, 40 yards, and he's just running, and it's just like the thread from his jock strap in the wind. Like it was just so wild, and he's going. It was a wild highlight, man. But you're right. OJ went from, I played with OJ in the Texas California All-Star game. Back then they had a Texas, California, and we lost the game, by the way, on a Hail Mary, not to my side of the field. Kyle Bowler, I think, threw the damn Hail Mary. But and he was on that team. Artie Ellis, remember Artie Ellis?
Yeah.
He was, we were on that. Yeah, we were on that team together. But man, OJ went from wide receiver to tight end to linebacker, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Into defensive end. And I want to say that's kind of where he settled a little bit for a while, was defensive end.
I thought he might have finished at defensive tackle, but
he might have. He could have easily, Jeff. He could have easily went inside, and I don't know if he just kept eating himself into the positions or just physically he had not matured by the time because he was. I will say, well, when he got here, he was still like in his teenage. He was still in this like teenage boy body, and by the time he left, he was a grown man, and he was. Yeah. He was D-line size instead of wide receiver.
Dynamic athlete at Westwood. I actually got Westwood to the state basketball tournament. And who else was in that tournament? I remember the tournament. It was the 98 state tournament because Ailey Felsick was there in that tournament with Rashard Lewis, who played. Rashard Lewis played 10, 15 years in the league.
The Sonics, who he played with?
Sonics went to the finals with Orlando. That was the Lakers, the Kobe back-to-back championships. That was the first of the back-to-back championships. The Lakers won with in the Kobe Pau Gasol years. Yeah. So yeah, OJ was a hell of an athlete.
He was. You're right about that. Yeah, those are two real good ones, honestly. Marcus Wilkins. Yeah, I mean, we got to answer for that. All right, let's thank another sponsor before we move on. Let's thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. So you go check them out. And we've been bragging about their great wines, including the Super Texan, which has been winning awards for a couple of years now. They recently entered it into the San Francisco Wine Festival, and it actually won with a score of 98 out of 100. It was named the best top red blend in the country. So now, not only can they say it's the best red blend in the great state of Texas, but the Super Texan is now the best red blend in all of the country, folks. So check it out. They have it at your local HEB, at your local Specs as well. I saw a display at our local Central Market here in town. So the good word is getting out indeed about the great wines over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Not only do they produce some of the best premium wines on the market, but also it's a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. Perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. And thank you very much. And we really appreciate them for sponsoring our Friday live stream. All right. Got a couple of questions here. How about from Matthew? Says, Rod, who was the craziest person you ever played with? Like something is off. Oh, I'm not going to say their name. But yeah, we did. There were a couple of guys we played with that were just wild and crazy. Yeah, I mean, thank God they were playing football. They found a constructive way.
Yeah.
All right, to channel their crazy, sometimes, psychotic, crazy thoughts, And I played with some guys who were wild. I played with one dude. Oh man, he stole. He said he borrowed, but he like took the keys of another player's car and he didn't tell him. And so the dude thought somebody stole his car because the car was gone and the keys were gone. He called the police and everything. And he just said he said he needed a car. No, I'm not joking. He was like, when they caught up with it, it was like, dude, he's like, oh, I got the car. And he's like, well, you just take a teammate's car without asking? And because the police had got involved. He thought the car was stolen. And he was like, I needed a car. So he took the keys out of his locker and took his car. And this is like, where are you from when you can just take? I mean, I know we teammates, but you still got to ask and borrow the car. Just take the car. He just took the car and just rode. I was like, wow. I mean, that's just, yeah. It's some other stories too that are probably a little too dark for this channel. Yeah. That was one that was funny just because he's just like, that's I did nothing wrong with police involved, police there at Moncrief, everything. He's like, I didn't do nothing when you're talking about. It's like, you technically stole a car. You don't think you stole it. You got teammates, but you stole a car and you just didn't realize you stole it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I got some teammates that was kind of wild. That was one of them. That was funny. Is that sort of thing fraudable? Yeah, exactly right. Was that wrong? Yeah, they don't really. That was exactly how he was. I swear. If I was like, bro, you stole it because it was stolen from the locker room and everything. So they were like, we gotta go look at footage. We gotta go pull some footage and all this kind of stuff. And they kind of because you called the police like something that's like somebody obviously at this place stole the car. I was like, this is an inside job. We talk about coaches.
Inside job.
So he's like, who would have done that? So it slowly started to build, and then he comes back just coming in very casual, like, what's the big deal about it? He's like, well, somebody stole so-and-so's car. He's like, oh no, I got the car. He's like, you got the car? He's like, yeah, I got the car. Whoa, why you got the car? He's like, I needed a car. Well, we all might need, so we can't just go take what we need.
Yeah, you gotta ask.
You can't just go take it. Crazy. All right, there you go. So I remember. Oh, you know what? Somebody talking about this. And someone says, I remember when Aaron Humphrey almost killed Cliff Kingsbury. A Hump was wild. A Hump was a wild dude.
He had a reputation.
Yeah, this reputation. Like our D line was wild back then, though. We had some wild dudes. Remember, like it was A Hump was wild, and Big Sean and Casey and Cedric Woodard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since it's 50 days until kickoff, we might as well go ahead and mention Cedric Woodard in there. Cedric Woodard.
That was a wild bunch. When you find yourself alone with like the D line on 6th Street, and you looked around, and all the DBs are gone, and like all the skill guys are gone, and the quarterbacks, it was just you in the D line. You were like, ish. I done messed up now. Yeah, it happened to me a couple of times. I ended up like, I'm just here with the D line. And they're like, oh no, this ain't good. Ain't good. All right, let's get a couple more questions. Awesome. Slick Rick says, was that Jeremy Hills working out at T. Atkins on his official visit to Texas? I think I saw he posted something on Instagram. It could have been
not on the official, not on the OV.
Okay.
But I know Tyler Atkinson has been in Austin working. I believe that's what Jeremy's place at Collective. Because he's also, we talked about it on the channel. He's also been working out with Derek Johnson a little bit too. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, Tyler Atkinson's been in Austin. Yeah,
that would make sense. That there, I mean, I'll not only work with those guys on third and Longhorn, but if Derek's working out with him, he's probably doing it at Jay Hill's spot at the collective. So, all right. Thank you, Slick Rick. We appreciate that question. All right. We're going to get to these just really kind of rapid fire. I hit up one more topic in today's live stream. How about this one from Jose says, Hefe, maybe I missed it, but if a player transfers out early, do they still get the guaranteed NIL money?
I mean, up until you've got things going through the clearinghouse, yeah. But that's supposedly, with the clearinghouse is checked. Suppose they're checking the contracts and things like that. I mean, I personally haven't heard of anybody that's transferred that's had to pay back any NIL money. So I don't know if that changes now with rev share, but that's another reason why this stuff needs to be collectively bargained. Like there just needs to be collective bargaining. There needs to be representation that protects the schools to a degree, that protects the players to a degree. So otherwise, you're going to have lawsuits upon lawsuits on your hands.
I can't wait to hear what the SEC coaches have to say about it, because a lot of the Big 12 coaches, if not all of them, basically agreed, like you said, there needs to be some type of collective bargaining on the other side. Hell, I think Gundy went as far as to say they need to be employees. Like, what are we waiting on? They should be employees. So it's crazy we're having that conversation now, but I wonder how many SEC coaches feel that way. And then the Big Ten coaches will be asked. And then we get to the point where most of the coaches are like, no, they should be employees. It's just make them employees, collectively bargain this thing so that we have better guardrails around it. We shall see. All right. CB says me rock can go 24 hours straight talking DBU. We've done it before. Yes, we have, CB. And we're going to do that again because before the season starts, I will be premiering my DBU rankings. The first in, I believe, a decade. I don't think we've done DBU rankings in like a decade. Because honestly, it wasn't much update. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, there's an update here and there, but now after Makuba, and then you got Janae Barron, and now we got Taft Daddy up there. We got some, Taft not gonna officially be on the rankings, so you got to be, your eligibility got to be done. You got to move on to officially be ranked. But now that we have so many, great young DBs who are making their case to be ranked in my DBU rankings, we'll do it. We'll do a fresh set for 2025. So they'll be coming out before the season starts. Again,
you should do it like the Texas monthly best barbecue joints in Texas list, Rod. Like I don't have a set time to do this. This is going to be whenever I feel like it's time to update it. It's going to be updated.
No, I agree with you. That's how I feel. I'm like, nah, the last 10 years, I'm like, I haven't been inspired. That's the truth. I have not been inspired. I hate to say that about me, but I wasn't inspired to say, you know what? I need to do I think I'm ranked like 50 of them. So I'm not, but I've been inspired lately after watching Jade and watching Makuba and some of the young DBs that, hey, the DBU rankings, they need to be updated. All right, let's hit our last sponsor of the evening, our friends over at South Point Dodge. Before we end today's live stream, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. Right now, South Point Dodge, they have over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in an all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you can get employee incentive pricing. That's right, folks. You pay what the employees pay right now at South Point Dodge. That's the real deal, and you won't get a better deal anywhere else, whether you need a car, truck, something new, something used, maybe it's a trade-in. Our friends at South Point Dodge are Austin's automotive everything. So go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can make it easy on yourself and go online and check out their fantastic inventory there as well at southpointdodge.com. Don't forget about the employee incentive pricing. You pay what the employees pay. It's their fancy way of saying you get the employee discount right now at southpointdodge.com. So thank you very much to our friends over at South Point Dodge for sponsoring our Friday live stream. All right, man. Oh, DKW on here. David Q. Williams says Texas has a legitimate 10 plus DBs on the current roster that I think will be NFL draft picks. I've heard you say this before, David Keith Williams, and I gotta go look. I definitely could see like your 7 to 8. You say 10 of them on the roster. Let me go check it out. I'm gonna go check the math on the DKW. But I agree, they are deep. Just looking at the safety position alone, I think I got like 6 guys that can play in the league right now. Just at safety. When you start thinking about it, I ain't even looking at corner really.
I know Bobby's talked about it. Just real quick, going back to your point right about the DBU rankings, about this is probably 2011, 2012, where I forgot what iteration of the 24/7 site we were going through at that point, but Bobby, I think Alan Trudeau authored it, but Ken Dabbs, Fred Akers, David McWilliams, I think Kirk Bowles got involved. A lot of basically Bill Little was involved in it, basically ranking the top 10 Longhorns at every position all time. I might start pulling those and get with Bobby. We might have to update those because I think it goes to like basically through kind of the Colt McCoy run.
Oh yeah, because Sarton done some damage on there now.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that, but you might be right about that. Because just hey, you got Kelvin Banks on there now. Oh man, Jadae's definitely. I mean, he's an award
winner. You've had 2 more Doak Walker Award winners since then.
Yeah. T Sweat, and he got him a national award there.
See, you've had Kenny Vaccaro was a first rounder. Malcolm Brown was a first rounder. Like, yeah, there's some dudes over the last 15 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great compliment to other programs, right? Like now it's time for all of us kind of update all that stuff. Like that's how impactful some of these Sark teams have been on the history of Texas football already. You know, we're 5 years into this thing.
But to David Keith Williams' point, going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier in the show, Rod, which is when you said going against Roy Williams every day in practice made you a better player.
Mm-hmm.
Whether all these guys probably aren't going to stay, just the way roster management works in the day and age of the transfer portal. But I'm a firm believer that iron sharpens iron. You're going to end up with some what I consider premium draft picks, which is if you go in the first 3 rounds, if you're in the top 100 picks in the draft, you're a premium prospect. You're viewed as a potential NFL starter. I think Texas will have a fair number of those at a lot of positions once we look back on this run. This what I hope, Rod, is another kind of golden era of Texas football. I think you look at Coach Royal in the 60s going into the 70s. I think Coach Akers had that run from 77 to 83. I think you could look at that as a similar run. Mac, I think you look 01 to 09 as another golden era of Texas football. I think Sark's about to take Texas on another one of those runs.
It certainly feels like it, right? I almost don't want to jinx it, but it feels like everything's pointing to it. Number 1 class, Arch Manning, the hype now, back-to-back years with double-digit players drafted. So it does feel back-to-back years going to the Final Four. Definitely does feel like Sark on the brink.
And it feels like the SEC talking heads, they can't really move the goalposts more than they have for measures of success for Texas. Like you're basically at, can you win a national championship? That's basically where can you beat Georgia and win the conference, and can you get over the semifinal hump and win a national championship? Like, the goalposts have been moved so far. It's like that's all you got left at this point.
No, and Feinbaum is going all in. By the way, like Feinbaum he's all in on Texas at this point. He's already talked about Arch being he said the best player since Tim Tebow. All right, he's thrown out there, and he recently said that Texas is definitely going to beat Ohio State in the opener. He said at one point he said probably. He was like, no, they definitely going to beat him. He said he's all in. So I mean, I thought we were pushing the hype train. Paul Feinbaum is getting out in front of us like, no. I'm on the hype train. This is my hype train. So there you go. There it is right there. Thank you, Matthew. He said, I'm married to Arch Manning as an old geezer like me can be to a young, great college quarterback. But I like everything about him. And I think you said something. The Manning name matters, but it isn't going to matter on that field in a couple of weeks at Ohio State. The experience of being an understudy to yours and understanding Sark's system is what's going to get them over the top and definitely beat Ohio State in the opener. Definitely going to beat Ohio State. All right. So there you go. So the hype train is full steam ahead. All right. Jump on board so you can get a comfortable seat. Too broke to pay attention. Before we get out of here, I do want to say our thoughts and prayers and condolences to you and your family. He said his uncle was laid to rest this morning at DFW National Cemetery. So said he was a great Longhorn fan. So God bless you and your family, brother. Thank you for sharing that with us. And obviously we know that's tough for you, but thoughts and prayers for him. Also, shout out to W.A. Jones, who continues to say that Rod B is a legend. Not a legend. Only at Lamar High School. Lamar High School, legend. Yes. Longhorn, not legend, yeah, because then I'd be disrespecting the real legends. But thank you, W.A. Jones. You're a legend. I appreciate that. And thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He is the best in the business. Nobody better. Remember, Samari Matthews will be at 6:30.
6:30-ish. Yeah.
6:30. All right. So when it breaks, folks, if you want to know what's going on, keep it tuned in on Texas Football, on TexasFootball.com. Speaking of on TexasFootball.com, you want great intel, you want great insider nuggets. Boom. That's right where you get them. Become an OTFOG by using that code OTFOG. You get a year subscription to on TexasFootball.com for just $39.95, folks. You won't find a better deal than that. If you're a baller on a budget, you will appreciate that as well. So thank you very much to all you guys out there for joining us today. Thank you as well to our sponsors. Thank you to Von Lane, vonlane.com. Use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Thank you to Flat Creek Estate Laundry, flatcreekestate.com. And thank you to South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. All right, Jeff, appreciate you, man. You guys have a great weekend. For Jeff and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.